trying again to mow his neighbor's lawn. His thing was fucking up. His lawnmower, he thinks he might need a new one, or at least a new battery and charger. He's not sure. But then it was working okay. So then he thinks it just might be the longer grass is fucking it up, which still means that he should get a new lawnmower or a new charger, a new battery. That's men's stuff. I told him I'll do other things. He knows I'm not going to mow his lawn. He's joking with me. He says, I have things to do. I'm like, you want to do them? I'm like, Joe, you know I'm not going to mow the lawn. We'll clip hedges or whatever. But definitely, I do things around here. Can you imagine getting these in the mail from a company such as, in this case, Vitacost, just like this, and then later finding out they're supposed to be plastic sealed for safety at the top. But it's even worse. See this one? This is pumpkin oil, and even Joe didn't trust this. It at the very least, had this little thing underneath. Like my Manuka honey from Vitacost I just opened had this thing, was extremely difficult to get the cap off, and had an inner seal. When Joe opened his pumpkin oil, and he's like, Laura, I could just twist this off. He's like, there's nothing underneath. His at least had this, right? But it wasn't enough, of course. Mine had nothing. Don't tell me they weren't tampered with, sabotaged intentionally. Who knows what's in here? At the very least, it's the real product. Spit in, it could be poisoned, it could be anything, okay? If it comes from the company, plastic, it could be counterfeit. If we know it comes from the company, plastic sealed for safety, which we didn't know. Joe suspected but wasn't sure because he couldn't remember, and then he went in person to his health food store, and he's like, anything similar, Laura, it was a smaller bottle, but it still was plastic sealed. And then I, of course, had already ordered my oregano juice, only because I read Joe's book that he had, and because he had oregano juice when I got here, but it ran out quickly, and I asked him, he said, yeah, I just wanted to try that. It doesn't mean I won't order from Vitacost again. It means I'll be leery, very leery, okay? No excuse. If it's the whole lot of them, the woman on the phone was very nice, but in the same order that Joe had no problems, but I think they were all tampered with. It's too much of a coincidence that this arrived and then 3 weeks later this, and there's no way that this high-class company forgot to put the safety seal on all their products, okay? It's too much of a coincidence that Joe gets one and 3 weeks later I get the exact same thing. Only worse, because if it can be worse, mine didn't even have, I mean, come on. This is how, oh, I'm sorry, this has, oh, okay. It does have the inner thing, but I don't care. I didn't even realize that. It doesn't matter. It's supposed to be safety sealed on the top. I don't care if it has the inner thing. They're not going to tell me the truth. If the company says, and it's out on Amazon, and if you look closely at the picture, it comes manufactured, plastic safety sealed for safety, okay? I didn't even bother opening this. Mine didn't even have the bottom lip, okay? But Joe's came like this. He told me. His had that bottom lip, no safety seal on the inner thing. Because he said, my God, you could just open this and there's nothing there. I think Joe would have trusted it and not even questioned it if it at least had that inner thing. Joe's didn't have the inner thing. Mine, I never bothered to even open it. I just reported it because mine came just like this. And if you go online, it's supposed to have that bottom lip. Again, like my Manuka honey that I opened last night. It's extremely expensive. You have it very limited. You have a tiny little bit in your tea or something. Manuka honey is very good for you, and it's at 10 plus, and it's organic for the level of of whatever you call it. It had both. It had that lip thing at the bottom that you get like with sodas and stuff, and it had an inner seal. Now, I'm going to tell Joe, well, guess what, Joe? Mine has this inner seal. But I'm sure all they're supposed to have the inner seal. Why would they not have the plastic on the outside? I'll never order them from Vitacost again, neither will Joe. It's too much of a coincidence. And I was here the night Joe said he opened this, and it had this flap, obviously, but no inner thing. And he's like, I was just able to open it just like this, Laura. I'm not going to have this. And he reported it immediately and got his money back, because Vitacost will always give you your money back when it's something this serious. I reported it. So I spent a lot of time writing emails, sending pictures on the phone, filing a complaint. I'm never going to hear from them. We did lot checks. I did lot checks, but I'm saying we because me and the rep said we can do a lot check, and I had to find these numbers on the bottom. And as you can see, the expiration is 10/23. You can read that one really good on Joe's pumpkin all. But mine, as I was explaining to the woman on the phone, they stamped in the middle here, and I was having difficulty. I had to go in the light, whatever, trying to read that number because it was over the little indentation. So, won't order them again. And again, if you got an order where the same 10 cans of salmon arrived a big fishy smelly mess with one of the cans opened, and you had got oregano oil from this North American Herb and Spice Company that was completely manufactured sealed in plastic, because it's a little thing, they don't just seal the cap, they seal the entire thing, but half gone, like this much gone, and covered in greasy oil on the outside, and you got organic sauerkraut that you know, big 32-ounce jar that you know you've purchased before, that's a bitch to fucking open, if we want to be blunt here, a bitch to open, because it has a pop thing and it's really hard to open. And it arrives opened, and your maple syrup arrives opened and leaking, and the juice spilled everywhere and whatever, and you reported other things as damaged, even if you can technically use them, because I told you before, I have no guilt, no qualms, nothing. I'm a very honest person. But if my order, you threw my stuff loose, if you put it in a Ziploc bag, Vitacost cracker, it's okay. But if you throw it loose in something where the bottom of the box got all wet and with juice and oil and what have you, maple syrup, it doesn't matter. Even if there was stuff you threw loose in there that didn't touch anything, it's the whole principle of the thing. You know what? You're the one throwing it all loose in there, and sometimes they don't arrive loose. Pumpkin seeds are sealed, walnuts are sealed, but some Vitacost packers will put those in Ziploc bags before putting them in the bag. And then I will never report them as damaged. But when you just threw them all on the side where everything was leaking and whatever, I don't care if I can still technically use them. If they don't arrive in the condition I would buy them in the store, I'm getting my money back. Well, in this case, I just got replacements. And and it's to teach these people a lesson, which they never learn anyway. You know, it's for my trouble and aggravation. I don't have to accept anything that is in a box that got wet with juice and whatever, that my order didn't happen in transit. It was clearly intentionally sabotaged. There's no fucking way it happened in transit. I don't believe that for 1 second. Where's the book? I'm reading this book of Joe's that's 21 years old, just like when I read Toxic Psychiatry from Peter Bregan. Joe started reading it again, but then he probably bought it. It's copyright 1996, but then it says first edition Bay House something or other, or Hay House something. Say 209. So I'm guessing Joe probably bought it then. It says her Hay House edition, May 2009. Say, I'm guessing Joe probably bought it then, and you know, he's changed a lot since then. Even when he bought it, he's learned a lot and whatever. He can read that, even though the guy believes in evolution and Joe doesn't, because Joe can, you know, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Joe and I don't agree with everything. Different people we listen to, and I listen to now, thanks to him. I don't agree with everything they say or believe. Okay? I don't view myself as a Christian in the traditional sense. I'm agnostic, but I've never been like an atheist. Never. I've always believed. there was something more, and nowadays, most especially. Joe and I gave Matt from QOC another chance, even though we disagree on key things he said not too long ago. We condemn him for saying them, but he does have some interesting things that, don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, I guess. Last time I thought it was Joe still mowing. It was someone else with everybody's mowing their lawn now. It's so beautiful out. I still have to find Omar a new bed. Probably have to wait a month for an appointment, just like before I had to wait because we can only do Saturdays, I knew this day would come, obviously, when he started showing his age. It took a long time. Now he's showing a little bit of arthritis, but people don't put their dogs to sleep just because they have arthritis. It's like but an animal can't tell you if it's in pain. He doesn't have to go up steps anymore like he did in Massachusetts. So it's just one step in the front and no steps in the back. And sometimes I'll even pick up Homer and not make him go up the one step. I had him going up the one step just because I thought it would be good for him to still use his legs and jump up the one step. And I'm thinking maybe I won't even have him do that. He gets enough work out just walking. He walks more than he did in Massachusetts. We have a little landmark mailbox down the street, and every time I feed him, I take him out for a walk down the street. Also started doing the recommended, you can put your hand down. I never thought about that ever. You can't think of everything in this life, especially nowadays. It's interesting reading this because, again, written 25 years ago, 1996. Everything he talks about is a millionfold these days, so